Hello everyone, welcome to ArcGIS channel. This is our first lab in ArcGIS Pro series, and I'm going to walk you through the environment of ArcGIS Pro, introduce you the most common tools, menus, and basic functions in ArcGIS Pro, and finally make a very simple map based on base map and learn how to share it. My purpose in this lab is to provide an overview of map making process in ArcGIS Pro, and in the coming tutorials we add more complexities and create more advanced maps and perform analysis together. So whether you are brand new to ArcGIS or just getting started with ArcGIS Pro or are migrating from ArcMap to ArcPro, this series of tutorials will make it easy for you to begin this journey. Let's get started. So the very first thing I suggest you to do in order to better manage your data is to create a new folder and call it GIS_labs. So remember, when naming files or folders in GIS, do not use space. It shouldn't be GIS space labs, or do not use any special characters like @ or hashtag or $, percentage. So do not use any special characters because this can cause problems with running functions in ArcGIS. So instead of these characters, just use underscore and then the next word. So within the GIS labs folder, create another folder and call it _base map. So this means that this is for the lab number 1. Lab number 1 is about base map, making base map. So we will store all data, all outputs or maps or projects for this lab within this folder. So as we move forward, it is much more organized to manage your data, manage your output, because you know what is the purpose of the lab and what informations are being stored in this lab. Okay, so in the lab number 2, create another folder here within this GIS labs folder and call it _, the purpose of the lab, and so on. And do not use space or special characters. Okay, so after that, open up ArcGIS Pro from Start menu. ArcGIS Pro from the Start menu. So in this screen, there are a few options to get us started. So if you want to start from scratch, just select Maps and click on it, and then have a name for the map or for your new project. For example, is lab number 1 or base map, and then store it in the corresponding folder. For example, store it in lab 1 folder. Okay, and then it will create a very simple map that is empty, doesn't have anything except for some default worldwide maps. It's a blank map. And the next option is catalog pane. That we will talk about that a lot in the software, but here without looking at the map you can manage your data. The next two are global scene and local scene. So, and these are for 3D representation. So global scene is for 3D representation based on a sphere, and local scene is for 3D representation based on a planar surface. So here is, for example, for global scene that represents, for example, the population of the cities across the world, and here it shows local scene is for 3D representation based on a planar surface, and it shows the intensity of earthquake. You can also start without a template, which creates a blank project without preloaded maps. So it's very similar to the map like this one, but it doesn't have the worldwide maps. And finally, recent projects, so you can quickly access your project you've been working on recently to pick up where you left off without having to browse your files. Okay, so it's just for faster access to your projects. So let's select map and then have a name for it. So maybe base map, and then location, where do you want to save it? I'm gonna save it in GIS_labs folder in the lab number 1, and then OK and OK. Alright, so the first time you open up ArcGIS Pro, you can see an environment like this. At the top here, you have ribbon when you can find different tools and different functions. So there are numerous tools and numerous functions. And on the left, you have contents or table of contents in ArcMap, which lists all of the layers or data. Okay, so here, for example, we have 2 layers of information, which are the default worldwide map that I just talked about that. And so when you add your data, so the name of the layer will be added, the layer names will be added here, okay, in the table of content or contents. And also on the right, you may have catalog pane that I just talked about, that is for data management, okay. So another thing is, if you can see the contents, sometimes you may unintentionally close the contents. How we can recover that? From view contents, you can recover this, okay? Or if you can't see the catalog, you can recover it from here, view catalog pane, which is very important. So if I wanna, for example, see my maps, copy them, if I wanna move or copy some data, GIS data, and have control on the databases, folders, I can manage them in the catalog pane, okay? And from the ribbon that I talked, you can access different tabs, and each tab provides a group of tools or functions. For example, project tab, you can create a new project, new, and then map, catalog, global scene or local scene. You can open an existing file, so open an existing project. You can save your project. That is something that is recommended, so you have to frequently save your projects in order to not losing your information, okay, not losing your analysis. And save project as if you want to save it with another name in somewhere else. And so the next one, the next important tab is map. And map, probably you spend most of your time in this tab. So the first one is explore. Explore allows me to explore my map, okay, so and pan around my map, okay, so I can move my map, and also I can, for example, have a full extent. So full extent means that this globe here, full extent, I can zoom to all of the data layers that are in the contents, okay. So here I have words, so if I click on full extent, it will zoom to the entire word data, okay. So if I click on that, it zooms to the entire data here. Sometimes I don't have these layers, I can turn off these layers. I have some data that are, for example, for the state of South Carolina. When I click on zoom full extent, it will zoom to the entire state of South Carolina, entire of the extent of my data. So that is full extent. So sometimes you need to, for example, zoom in or zoom out. You can, or having fixed zoom in and zoom out with your mouse, you can easily zoom in or zoom out, or you can have fixed zoom in and fixed zoom out. Click on that and you will have a, without having any adjustment, you can have a specific percentage of zooming. So another thing that you can do, if you, instead of as fixed zoom in or zoom out, if you press positive sign on your keyboard, you will have fixed zoom in, or negative sign, you will have fixed zoom out. So the next one is bookmark. And bookmark, sometimes you're working on an area, okay, so let's say I'm working on an area in Europe, like here, I don't know this location, so for example here, and I want to store this extent, okay, so in order to quickly access this specific extent next time, I can bookmark it. So click on bookmark and then new bookmark and have a name for it, okay, for example this name, Warsaw, okay, and then you can have some descriptions and then okay, which is optional, and then okay. So what happens is that let's say I'm working here, I want to find where was Warsaw, right? So what can I do is that I can look at the bookmark and then easily click on that, and it takes me back to my previous extent that I was working on. So it returns me to the previous extent. So it is particularly helpful for very large project and you want to just focus on a specific area. You can bookmark it. You can have multiple bookmarks and manage multiple bookmarks. And if you don't want to have this, if you want to remove it, right click on that and then remove bookmark. So sometimes you want to find the location. Where is the location on the map? Okay, so you have just latitude, you have longitude, you want to see where the location is. You can click on go to XY, and here you can have longitude. For example, I want to have a location in the western hemisphere, for example -80, and in northern part of the northern latitude. Okay, so I can, for example, type 34, which is for northern hemisphere above the equator. So now if I click on, based on, you can have different systems that we will talk about, that decimal degree based on projected or UTM or so on, and we will talk about that in the future labs. And if you click on flash location, and also maybe full extent, now flash location, so the location is here, so -80 longitude and 34° latitude. And if you want to add a label, click on that, it will show you. So this location has, in South Carolina, has the longitude of -80 and latitude of 34. Okay, so that's how we can, sometimes when you have latitude and longitude, you want to map it, you want to just label it, you can use this one. Okay, you can use the go to XY. So when you use this go to XY function, as you can see in the table of content, it creates a graphic layer. Okay, so you can easily remove it or not. So if you want to remove this layer, I can right click on that and remove. So another important thing is sometimes you want to add your own data. So here I'm not adding any my own data. So, but in the future labs, starting next lab, you will learn how to add your own data and work with your own data. So in order to add your data, you have to click on this yellow button with plus sign on it. So this is called add data. When you click on that, you can navigate to the folder that you have your data and add it to the ArcGIS Pro. Okay, so you can add, for example, here I have feature file geodatabase. So maybe you have CSV file, maybe you have shape file, and other type of GIS data, raster, grid. You can easily add that using the add data button. And if you, for example, want to measure distance, for example, I want to measure the distance from I don't know, from here to here. Okay, so what is the distance here? So I can click on measure, this ruler, and then I can set the what is the unit. Okay, for example, miles, yard, US feet, kilometer, meter, and so on. And also if it's like a planar surface, or you are measuring on a globe. So I select planar, and then for example miles, for example. So I want to measure the distance from here to here. So as you can see, it's 4.75 miles. Okay, so, and also you can not just measuring the distance, you can also change the unit. You can also measure area. For example, I want to measure area of, I don't know, like this polygon. So what is the area of this polygon? Select this polygon, measure area, and then start to like measure the area for this polygon. So it's not accurate, but I just want to show you that. So this polygon has, so if you want to finish it, double click. So this area has 2.68 square kilometer in this polygon. So you can also measure, for example, distance. Okay, measure direction and distance, for example, from here to here. So you can see it's southwest, the direction is southwest 53 degrees, and the distance is 12,000 meters. Okay, so you can measure distance and degree together. You can also measure an angle. For example, what is this angle? So it shows you that this angle is 49 degree clockwise, and if you want to measure it counterclockwise, it's 310 degrees. So you can use this measure for measuring some like distances, areas, and so on. So the next important thing in ArcGIS is if you want to select something, some features. Here we don't have any feature, but if you want to select it, we use select. You can select by rectangle, polygon, circle, and so on. But if you want to select something, you will use select. Here again, we don't have it. But if you want to select by some attribute information, okay, so for example, you want to select areas that their population is less than, I don't know, 10,000 people. Okay, so population is attribute information. Okay, for example, you want to select the roads that their type is highway. So that's the attribute information. You have to use select by attribute. But sometimes you want to select the relationship between two features. I want to select all of the crimes that happen in a specific county. Okay, so crimes is just some points, some geographic features. County is geographic features. So I want to see the relationship between them, or within or contained relationship between them. So in that case, we have to use select by location. That we will talk about this a lot in the next few labs. So now I want to find a location, but not manually, and then create a base map or existing maps of Esri. Okay, Esri, or the company that developed ArcGIS, they have provided some pre-existing maps. So you can find it from here, base map. So for example, there are a variety of 2D maps, 2D base map here. For example, imagery. So you can see the satellite imagery of the study area. So if you also want to see the name of the streets or highways and areas, you can also select imagery hybrid. Okay, so you can zoom in and you can see more details about the locations. If you want to see just the name of the street, you can use the streets that gets the data from OpenStreetMap OSM. So if you select that, you can see the location. So these are like base maps that for the entire world that Esri provides us. You can also get the topographic information. For example, from here, I can have the map based on topographic information. Feel free to explore other options, but I'm happy with the topography map. So I select this one. I want to make a map based on my recent trip, which was in Clearwater, Florida. I want to find Clearwater, Florida, but I want to search for the name of that. So I have to select locate, this binocular icon, and then here type the name of the location. Okay, so I'm gonna type Clearwater. So as you can see, the Clearwater are in different locations in the US. So I'm gonna select Florida, double click, it takes me to the Clearwater. Okay, so again, I can have fixed zoom in, fixed zoom out. I can use Explore to pan my map. And then when I'm happy with my map, so what I'm gonna do is, so let me remove this. So when I'm happy with my map, so let's say I'm gonna make a map based on base map from Clearwater. So how can I export this? Also, how can I insert some map elements like north arrow, scale bar, title, legend, and finally export it as a PDF or JPEG with very high DPI. So in order to insert these map elements, north arrow, scale bar, title, and other stuff, so you have to always, so we are in the map menu, right? So when you're happy with your map, so let's say I'm gonna make a map based on this. So this is the map of the location that I recently visited, okay? So what should I do is that I have to go to the Insert tab, and from the Insert tab, I have to select New Layout. Okay, so this is for printing my map. So I want to print my map. So when you click on that, it asks me whether you want your map to be portrait or vertical, or whether you want to have your map landscape or horizontal. So I want to have my map portrait, but also it asks me what is the size of the printed map. So I select the first one. So you can have different size for your map. So I'm going to select the letter. And here it takes me to another tab. So when I was in the map tab, I couldn't see any north arrow, scale bar, and other stuff. But in the layout tab, now I can see north arrow, I can see scale bar, legend, and so on. So the first thing I have to do is that I have to add my map. So how can I add my map? From map frame, again, make sure you are in insert tab, map frame, and then select your map. Now you have to draw a box that your map will be within this box. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a box like this. So my map will appear within this box. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add north arrow, and north arrow shows me the direction of the map or direction of the north. So if you click on that, there are a variety of options for you. So you can select any option that you like. For example, I select this one, and then again draw a box here. So the north arrow will be added here. The next thing is, so if I want to have like some modification on this north arrow, click on that or double click on that. It shows the north arrow like properties, or you can right click and then properties. It takes you to the same location. So you can have, for example, a different type of the north. For example, we can have true north, which shows the north pole and it's fixed, or you can, for example, have magnetic north, which shows the direction of compass and varies over time. Okay, so you can also change. So I'm gonna select the true north. You can also have borders for this. You can change the color for this north arrow if you want. So for example, we can go to this tab. You can change the color for borders, for the background. For example, if I want to have like blue background. So you can play with these options if you like, but I'm happy with my north arrow. So now I'm going to add a scale bar. So what is a scale bar? A scale bar helps me to estimate distance between points on my map. For example, if I again click on the scale bar, there are a variety of options for me. I select any of them, and then I have to draw a box, then a scale bar will be added. So as you can see, when I added a scale bar, I have some like decimal numbers, right? Because my study area is small, so it uses some decimal numbers. So maybe here, instead of miles, it's better to change the unit to feet or meters, right? So how can I do that? I can again double click on that, or I can right click and then properties. And then here I can, for example, go to the first tab for the scale bar. So I can say, so what is the map unit? Is it miles? So I'm gonna change this, for example, to US feet, right? If your study area is large, so it's better to use miles. If your study area is, I don't know, small like this, you can use feet or meters or other smaller divisions. So if you're not happy with your scale bar, if you want to make it larger or stretch it or compress it, you can easily stretch or compress your scale bar if you want. So for example, this one. So we have, as you can see, we have some subdivision for my scale bar, right, which is 1000. And you can have like more divisions here. So here we have divisions 2 and subdivisions 4. So maybe it's not, this is probably not very clear. So let me add another scale bar, and probably this one, it's better, shows what I'm saying. Okay, here. So you can see I have some division and I can have some subdivision. It helps me to more accurately estimate the distance. Okay, so let me, instead of miles, I use, so here I have 4 subdivisions, as you can see, 4. So I can change the number of the subdivision, for example, to 2. Now I have 2 subdivisions. And again, I'm gonna change the unit from miles to, for example, meter, right? So I can see that here I have some numbers that are not easy to read. Okay, so you have to avoid these numbers because people want to estimate the distance based on these numbers, and these are not easy to estimate the distance. So you have to stretch or compress your scale bar. So if I stretch it, so now it is much better. Or yeah, for example, this one, 300, 600, 1200. So these are easier to estimate the distance. What does it mean? It means that from here to here is 600 meters underground. Okay, so it helps me, for example, from here to here is 600 meters underground. So it helps me to estimate the distance using this scale bar. And again, you have other options like changing the fonts. If you want to change the, I don't know, I think text symbol probably. You can change the font of this text on the scale bar if you want to. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a text and just call it the place I visited recently. So in order to add a text, I use under graphic and text, I can use this one, text, rectangle text, and I'm gonna here type. So if you click on this, you can see here also you can type that the place I visited recently, right? And also again, I can, this is very small as you can see, I can go to the text symbol, change the font, for example, Arial, and also I can change the font size, maybe 24. And also again, you can change the apply, you can change the color and so on. Okay, it's the place I visited recently, put it in the middle. So if you're happy with your map, and also you can provide some information. For example, we can say Clearwater, Florida, right? FL. So another thing you can add is you can also add credits. So who created this map? We can again use text and then your name and the date for today. Okay. So another thing that you can do is you can do a lot of stuff here, but so as we move forward, you will learn more advanced thing that you can add. So you cannot add legend because we don't have any like features. We didn't use our own data, right? So we can't have like a, for example, for ocean, for land, or other features here, right? I want to show a specific location. I want to point to a specific location. I can, from graphics and text, I can add, for example, a point, or I can add a polygon. I can add a cross here. Okay, for example, I want to add a cross in here. Okay, so you can see I have added a cross here, and I can again change the color for that. So if you want to add some, yeah, I can change the color for it. If you want to, for example, add an arrow, you want to point to a specific location, so I can use this one and add an arrow. Double click, you have to double click, and you can see, for example, again, you can change the color and so on. So if you want to add this graphics, you can easily add that from here. And we have another thing that is called dynamic text. For example, the time now. So I want to get the time, and it's updated frequently, okay, based on the information that it gets from the map. So for example, what is the map projection here? If I change the map projection, I want to have an updated map projection. So this is called dynamic text that you can add it to your map. There are other options to dynamic text. For example, the time that you created the map, and the north, the location, the coordinates information, or the system time. What was the time now? So when you save it, the time will be updated and so on. After you're happy with your map, you need to export it, you need to share it with others, right? As JPEG, PDF, or even package. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to go to the Share tab. And Share tab, you can share the project with other people. So if you click on Project, you can share your project, you have a name, summary, some tags, and you can also share it with people outside of organization or within your organization. For example, with everyone in my organization and outside, analyze and package. So it creates a package, so there was no problem with this, and then package, and it creates a package that you can share it with other people online. Okay, So I probably don't need this option for now. So, but there is an option for packaging, making a package based on the layers that you have. You can also, if you are not using organization license, I am using organization license, but if you don't, if you are not using organization license, you have better options. You can also, for example, you can have it as a web map. You can have this as a web map. You can have it as a mobile map package. You can publish your map as a web layer within or outside of the organization. So I don't have that option, but it's possible if you are not using an organization license. So let's say I just want to export this as a PDF or JPEG file. So I have to click on export layout, and here I have different options: flattened, PDF, GeoTIFF. So I select the GeoTIFF, and here I have a variety of options for the output file export layout. So for example, JPEG, PDF, PNG, SVG, and so on. So I select JPEG, and here it tells me where do you want to save it, which is obviously the place that I had. So I'm gonna call this so lab number 1, or probably I don't know, any name, doesn't matter, lab 1. And as you can see, it's JPEG, so it is being saved in the GIS labs folder. And then here I can set the quality. If I have higher quality, definitely higher volume for the data. But the most important thing is DPI, or dot per inch. So if you want to have your map for publication, you need to have, normally you need to have your map with at least 300 DPI, the resolution of your map, or dot per inch. But for web maps, probably 96 is the default value for the web map. So I'm gonna select 300, or 600 is fine. And then you can have your map as a color, as a black and white, or true color, or grayscale. So I'm gonna select the true color and then export. So what happens is that within the lab 1 folder, let's open up the map. We can also open it up here, but from lab 1 folder here, I can see there was a file, JPEG file, lab 1. You can also open it with Paint, so you can see the resolution and the quality of your map. You can see your map has very high quality and 600 DPI, and you can use it for your publication. So obviously this map is not informative. I just wanted to show you the step-by-step process of making maps in ArcGIS and using the base maps or other functions or tools in ArcGIS, main menus in ArcGIS. But next videos, we will learn how to create maps that are based on our own data.